Welcome to It's Your Loss podcast, where raw stories of resilience and healing are told, all while uncovering and destigmatizing the diverse symptoms of loss.
Welcome back to the podcast. If you missed last month's episode, well, it's your loss. I am host Michael LeBlanc, and I am with the illustrious Edith Ivhay
Rosenblat.
Yes, actually in person. We're sitting inside her car, and we had the idea for the perfect Christmas episode after 2 hours of drinking coffee and water and just kind of staring at each other. The idea is Christmas, normally known for its sense of family, especially if you have, a nice,
steady,
balanced, normal life. It's about family.
Non-chaotic,
it's about
non-addicted,
and also togetherness and stuff like that. But there are a lot of people out there, my ex included, who are experiencing a profound sense of loss this holiday season. I kind of wanted to shine light on that because a lot of people tend to kind of hold this in their chest instead of talking about it. And I'm a big proponent. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Anxiety is always smaller when you get it out of your mouth. And hopefully hearing somebody talk about what I'm about to talk about, what Edith is going to join with me, maybe you want to talk about it as well. So this episode, if you happen to be listening to it on Spotify, Spotify has comments now, and I would love to hear from you. If you would love to send an email, you could always do it with sittinwithyou, no G, and it's all one word, SITTINWITHYOU, WITHYOU @gmail.com. If you got anxieties this season and you don't feel like you got anybody to talk to,
let's work it out.
Please. So, Edith, like I said, my ex is, I got to sit down with her and have a good conversation. We're still very much good friends. And so we feel comfortable talking to each other about anything that's bothering us. And the passing of her mother not only hit her pretty hard, but it hit me pretty hard too. I've never seen or heard somebody wail like that. I've heard about it. I've seen it in movies.
Marley?
No, my ex.
Your ex.
Luckily, my in-laws are still very much alive.
Okay.
Actually, my father-in-law just recently had a very recent scrape with what could have been a lot worse. His boat exploded, but everybody's okay. Everybody's okay. But no, my ex-mother-in-law, she passed away this year, and like I said, the sounds that she made, bone-chilling. She came up to me immediately, and she was like, "Hey, I want to be on your podcast." I'm like, this pain is too new. I can't have you on my podcast yet. Please process. I will help you process, but I'm not going to do it and record
immediately.
Yeah, because that's selfish.
There's a lot. Yeah,
that'd be selfish.
A lot to unpack, and you can't even come to the realizations that you need because the grief is so fresh. It's like a cut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this would be nothing but just lemon juice.
Right in the wound.
So
for sure.
We waited for a while. There is an episode that's recorded, but I'm not going to release that just yet. I still want to make sure that it gets its due, its time. I know, and she said it before, this is going to be her first Christmas without her mom being alive, and she said Mother's Day was already rough for her. I mean, it's been a hell of a year, and I know that there are other people out there who are going through not only family loss. Loss comes in all different forms.
So much loss.
Money loss. Say you lost your job beforehand.
Friendships.
Friendships.
Familial loss.
Material loss.
Losses,
especially. Oh my God! All the people who got affected by the Hurricane Milton
in Tennessee. I heard they're still dealing with
North
that.
Carolina. In fact, we've been driving around South Carolina over the last 2 days, and I'm sure you've seen all the trees on the side of the road.
And here's the thing, and myself included. Okay, we are not taught how to deal with grief. From the time we're very small, we're taught how to be a consumer and to consume and get things, but then there's all that middle ground. That middle ground.
A lot of emotional middle ground that's not told. Like, there are a lot of people who say that there should be things that we learn in school, taxes, how to change a tire, and there are some schools that are doing better at teaching hands-on stuff, but there's still a very large gap because I feel like schools don't think that that they put all the emotional learning, all the growing up on the parents. Like, the parents will teach them all this. There are kids out there whose parents are not emotionally stalwart enough to actually say, hey, this is how you deal with loss. They're flushing, this is a very small example of it, but they're flushing their goldfish down the toilet and then getting another one before the kid comes home.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
My parents did that.
Or, checking in every once in a while, like, say, after a grandparent dies or something like that. And then when the kid starts acting out, it's like, oh man, you must have ADHD. You must have something wrong. Maybe we need to medicate you. This doesn't happen to every child.
Happened to me, though.
But exactly. We hear about it. We've seen examples of it. And so when it comes to be later, when you're an adult and say that you are now the parent, you have learned what you can through the school of whatever hard knocks you've been through to learn with your emotional stuff, and then all of a sudden a hurricane wipes out your entire house, and your kid, your family, are now faced coming into the holidays having to probably lean on somebody else, or just try to face it yourself because you don't have anybody else.
Exactly. And that's the reason you have It's Your Loss podcast and Bisexual Coffee. We do that together. And then I have Naked Onion Mystery Tours podcast, a Beyond Normal podcast for women, because there's so much grief out there and we're not discussing it enough, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like, again, they don't feel like they have somebody to talk to about that. They feel like they have to go it alone, that it's their lot to
my cross to bear.
Right. And for some people, let's be honest, is this voice right here, is this podcast going to reach them if they don't have anything to listen to it on? No, but I hope it reaches out to somebody who knows, who's been affected, who is being quiet, who feels like they just have to keep moving forward because that's the only thing that they can do. They can't show the weakness. They can't break down. This podcast has been, from the get-go, the one thing that I want. I'm rambling here.
He's manifesting. That's what's happening.
This podcast has always been about destigmatizing
grief.
And showing that it is okay that you are feeling the symptoms, or that the symptoms that someone that you're seeing, it's going to be different. It's going to be hard to see, and it's going to be even harder for them to feel.
Can I?
You can.
Okay. As a child, I would get screamed at a lot. So that to the point when I became an adult, if someone screamed at me, I'd be reactionary to their screaming. Well, the thing is, the yelling, the screaming, the behaviors all come from the same place, grief. Some kind of grief is happening. And I've learned from the people that I love when they're going through grief. Mr. LeBlanc over here had to remind me that my partner was grieving something before I left. What that was, I don't know. But I have the ability to turn it around and create something different from it. A better story. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a better listener. Just a better listener.
Yeah.
And I won't mirror back the pain, but I'll be a better listener.
Yeah. Because sometimes listening is one of the good first steps, because it's not about what you can do for them, which is why there are a couple of things that I try not to say when I hear that somebody's lost something, whether it be property or family or anything.
Right.
There are two big things I don't say. I don't say I'm sorry immediately, because Lord knows they've heard that enough by people who don't know what else to say. And then the next thing I don't ask like, what can I get you? Because that implies that there's something physical that they need. Perhaps what the best thing is, what can I do for you? It's just an action, and figure out whatever that action is. Going into this holiday season for Christmas, I mean, we've already been through Thanksgiving, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who invite people who aren't their family into a Thanksgiving scenario. Actually, I just got back from Todd A. Davis's Thanks Gary. There's a whole backstory about that, but he invites friends who don't have other family to hang out with over to his house. And
that's fun.
It is, and it's amazing. And it's one of those things where he just invites. He doesn't say, hey, I know you're in this situation. But he invites that to the people he knows first, and he's like, hey, come on out. And then if they want to talk about it while they're there, cool. If they don't want to talk about their situation, they still had a moment to share with somebody, even because food's healing, let's be honest,
Right.
So that entire event is great. It's the second time I've been there. I'm really honored to be a part of that tradition. Like, he's really brought me into his fold. I really like that. But around Christmas time, there are people out there who feel guilty that they can't afford something right now. There are people out there who don't have a family member to lean on that they used to, a house to go to that they once had, a job that was once bringing the food and the presents that they thought they were going to bring this year. I'm not saying that we have to go out there and save everyone, but I'm saying if you got somebody who's close to you, now's the time to, again, not ask them what you can. Don't ask them if they need anything, because that's easy to say no. Don't give them a yes or no answer. Ask them, what can I do for you? And I'm telling you, that one question right there is huge, just between human beings in general.
I say to my girlfriends, how can I serve you?
Yeah.
Because honestly, they don't get that. No one says that to them.
That's true.
My partner, I don't say that to, because that might turn into something else. But I do. I'm a better listener. And when they need something, I make sure that I haven't shut off my ears. I used to be very prone to, oh, you want this? Really? Okay, let me not give you that. I don't know why I was like that. I think my mom was like that or something.
I don't know. I'm gonna say that sounds. I use this term. I use it as the internet has introduced it here recently. That sounds like some straight up brat behavior. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's like, well, now I'm not gonna do it.
Look. That I haven't done that a lot. Look, my whole life was people pleasy, little toxic people pleasy.
Yeah.
So then I had to go to the other direction and be like, no.
Well,
now I got to find the middle ground.
Setting boundaries for yourself is healthy,
Yeah.
right? But it also can get addicting. It's almost like getting a little taste of power, and then you're like, oh, I am the master of my own destiny. Hey.
Right?
So what plans, if anything, you have this holiday season?
So I'm going in November. There is a podcast that I was a part of. It was called Dinner with Schmucks. And they were out of Brandon.
You ever seen that movie?
In Florida. Absolutely. Like 100 million times.
It's ridiculously
So
funny.
What we would do, Dinner with Schmucks, is we were just we would just find the funniest. You were talking about people and humans.
Yeah. We
would find the funniest human stories. Like black man wears white socks into pool. Karen actually was complaining at the man for wearing his socks in the pool.
Yeah, that sounds like some good old Reddit rage bait right there.
Oh my god. To me, as an empath with having compassion and things, I'm like, well, maybe he wanted to cover up his feet.
Yeah.
Maybe that was all he wanted to do, was just cover up his feet. Maybe they weren't as pretty as he wanted them to be, so he's in the pool. Or just walking on that concrete is so
a tactile experience that they
God.
can't handle.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we would do stories like that. Super funny. A Karen in New York City, a little black boy, had a backpack on. He was passing by her, and he turned, and then his backpack hit her.
Oh, I think I heard about this.
Yeah, and she called the police.
Yeah.
So we would do those stories.
The police are so easy to call. These.
Oh my God! No,
I feel like for some people it should be like an extra couple of buttons on the phone, like a little thing that warrants is like, hey, are you experiencing this? Maybe you shouldn't call the police right now.
Exactly. They have some moments. We've done all the stories. So with Dinner with Schmucks, we would cook these recipes that we would get online. Oh my God! One time we did a schnickel.
A schnickel.
Which is a Snickers and a pickle.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And you cut the dill pickle, and then you cut the candy bar in half, and you put the dill pickle in the middle, and then you eat it.
Oh, I've seen this.
Oh my God!
You've tasted it? I've never tasted it.
It is the perfect amount of disgusting and sweet. I mean,
you're selling it for me. Let me tell you.
Oh my God, it was so bad. So we would do that, and
So that's what you're doing this year?
so yeah, we're gonna do an episode. I'm flying up the Thanksgiving week, the beginning of Thanksgiving week. I'm gonna help them cook. And then whether we podcast or not is completely fine. They have a son named Raymond now. I think they've slowed down a little bit.
Okay.
But
for those of you listening and you're wondering, was there a continuity error? No. Thanksgiving hasn't happened by the time we recorded this. But just in case that it happened to get a little later or anything before I released it, I just went ahead and told people that I did the Thanksgiving. I've already been invited to the Thanksgiving thing, so I am still doing that this year. And she's going to dinner for schmucks.
Yes.
What about Christmas?
Christmas, no plans. I think my roommate and I are going to go to
The Bermuda
Florida.
Triangle.
No, it's a place that everyone goes, and it's literally beautifully decorated, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's not Amelia Island.
Anastasia?
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine. I've been there as well.
The city's annual Night of Lights Festival is a
I've heard of
free
that.
world-class display of 3 million lights that transform the city from late November to January. The historic district is a great place to stay, and visitors can enjoy horse-drawn carriages, seasonal shopping, and outdoor dining.
Oh, that sounds downright magical.
Yeah. We need some magic. We do. We just need friendship, magic, and the holidays, I think.
So, Christmas, as I've grown up over the years, I almost got to a point, and this is kind of bringing us a little bit back into the lost thing, but I'll just dive in, come right back out. I got to the point where Christmas just wasn't important to me.
I got it.
Like at all. I fell out of Christianity, found Buddhism for a while there, thought that, well, since I'm a Buddhist, I don't have to really care about that. Turns out it really doesn't matter like who you are. You were probably part of some organization of people that celebrates something at the end of the year. And it's normally around family or togetherness or something like that. And so, like, I really don't have to, I don't have to say, yay, Christmas. Christmas is what I know. It's the event that everybody kind of gathers around, and it's called, different things, different places, different holidays happen at the same time. I'm looking at Hanukkah, looking at Kwanzaa. There's also some other ones. But those are the big three that we normally think about when this time of year starts to befall upon us. I got to the point where I really didn't like hanging out with the family that I was married into because there was always drama. And it was just kind of like a drawn off thing that we would just have like a small celebration between me and my ex. We didn't really have a lot of money, so we'd celebrate what we could. Christmas wasn't huge. We didn't decorate. Nothing. And if we did go to other events for families or something, it was just really quick. It was like a banquet dinner or something like that, and then the year would continue. Like, we would probably have better time in the new year than we would actually during Christmas time. And then I married into the family that I married into now.
Oh, they're all about Christmas, I bet.
Definitely. It's the end of the year. We never get all the way to Christmas before we have our family get together, because like my wife, she has to work on Christmas normally every year just because of the nature of her job.
What does she do?
She's works in a care facility for people with mental illnesses.
Okay.
And so that's a year-round thing. Like, they need staff.
Oh, it's nonstop. I understand.
And since her family always has this earlier in the month celebration where we go up to the mountains and all the uncles, the cousins, everybody, we're all getting together, the parents, and it's great. And they make this giant pot of like spiced wine and have great conversations. There are always giant stockings that are passed around that everybody chips into. It's a great thing. So since we have that earlier in the month, Marley goes, well, I'm clear. I've already done my thing with my family. So if you want off for Christmas, I'll be that person. And so she goes in there, and that way the other staff, normally she takes a 12-hour stint, and like that leaves like 3 of the other staff to just stay home for the rest of them. And she's glad to take that step. But that thing earlier in the month, like around the 15th or the 16th or whenever it is, that revived my love for the holiday. Kind of brought the magic home a little bit for me. It was a resurgence.
Women are creators.
Yeah.
The first and foremost, and you are lucky to have that centeredness to where your being is also a creator. I mean, there's lots of creators, but women, it's a comfort. It's a comfort to be a creator.
Mm-hmm.
It for me, if I'm not creating, then anxiety and stress come in. During the holidays, I know, I just want to share this story. One Christmas I spent with a friend of mine. You know, my family and I were not getting along. And this friend of mine and I went to Walgreens, got a canned ham, a can of green beans, and the French onions and the French onion soup mix, and a box of macaroni and cheese. None of this was fresh.
Yeah.
It probably screams sodium to somebody, but I mean, I was in my 20s, and we put that dinner together, and we had a blast. Yeah. We got in our pajamas. We watched this movie with this little kid who licks a pole and gets his tongue.
A Christmas Story.
Yes.
Yeah.
We watched that. We watched
this movie where a kid
Family
licks the pole.
Vacation, licks the pole. And then Family Vacation or Christmas Vacation, Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Right. We just watched all these movies and popped popcorn and laughed and fell asleep in like a complete sugar coma on the floor.
Yeah. There's definitely a magic in creating small moments out of cheap events.
Right.
And because those for me like last the longest. Like one time moved into a place with my ex. After living with roommates for the longest time, we finally got to a place where we could live by our own. And we got the last big furniture in there, and we sat down. She sat down in a chair. I sat down on the floor. The only food that we had brought in with us was a can of baked beans and hot dogs.
I love it.
And we were just sitting there and just ground beef too. It was extra protein.
I love it.
And so it was the best meal ever. And it's a good moment that solidifies inside my brain. I guess, can be said to try to find those small moments in between as well. So if you're out there and you've listened to this thing, and I know we kind of went on hard on the people who have lost things. Well, this is a podcast about loss. We went hard on that because I want to let you know that if you are thinking that you need to go help somebody, or you know somebody who you can help, or somebody comes up to you and actually asks for help, know that, again, it's the small moments that will probably help them forever, even if it is just getting their kid like one toy during this holiday season where they can't get it, or giving them a place to stay for the night if that's available within, your house. The small moments are going to help.
You can transform a person's perspective about a situation using the words. I actually ran into a woman in a park, and I was meditating and walking at the same time. One of the habits I tell you that I have. And this woman was feeling great angst and pain, and just said hi to me and just started opening up about her situation and how she felt. Not only did she get the name of your podcast, but then the name of our podcast. I gave her a card to my hormone doctor.
Okay.
And she received so many gifts in that moment, and she gave me a big hug and expressed her gratitude, and it just flipped a switch, and it changed her perspective of her entire day.
I have to ask, because giving people the name of our podcast is cool. I can't deny the chance for that. But do you mind telling us what was going on with this individual that hormone doctor and podcast helped? Yeah.
Well, she was experiencing relationship loss.
Okay.
She and her partner got together because he wanted to help her and she wanted to help him. And now she was like, now we're both codependent.
Okay.
They lost their identity somewhere.
Sure.
And I told her that in listening to these podcasts, it would give her some ideas on how to expound on her perspective and not feel so closed in.
Okay.
Because when you're I'm listening to myself as I'm talking.
That's
okay?
good. That's a good thing to do.
When you're sitting in the house with the same person over and over and over and over, you guys come home together, you eat together, you watch TV together, you do all these things together.
Yeah.
Well, then you start resenting one another. Like, hey,
resentment is easy to build.
It is easy. It's an easy house.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, I don't want it. I don't want to resent anybody in my life.
That's good.
I showed her listening to a podcast, even if it wasn't ours, would create new beliefs.
Yeah.
In creating new beliefs, you create new habits. In creating new habits, you create a new perspective. In creating a new perspective, you create a reality. When you create a reality, then you're creating a universe and a community and all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
You're a creator. So.
Okay, good. So I'm glad to hear it's like, oh man, times are rough for you. Hey, I do a podcast, and then you just kind of walk away. No, okay, that makes sense.
That's what I told her, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everything I just told you, I told her.
And yeah, depending, I don't want to dig too much in this person's life, but you know, depending on where she is in life, maybe seeking a hormone therapist would
That's
definitely
what I
kind
thought.
of help. Okay,
I told her
that makes
too.
sense.
Yep.
That actually right there marks
full circle.
Yeah, and it marks the end of what I consider to be season 1 of the It's Your Loss podcast. I'm glad, Edith, I got you in here twice this year.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm sure there's more room for us to experience more loss through the year and process it, you know, on a microphone for other people to listen to. Because it's important, you know, like I said, anxiety is a lot smaller when it's outside of your mouth. So talking about it is huge.
That is the truth.
Stay tuned for season 2. Episode 1 should be coming out on the 3rd Thursday of April 2005. 2025. That's right.
Can you believe it?
That's how numbers work.
2005. Wow.
I forgot how numbers work.
I was a hot mess in 2005.
I think we all were. All works in progress. But so yes, the 3rd Thursday in August in 2025, and like I said, I don't want to give away the guest because it was very special for me, and I think the conversation is nice, raw, and it's exactly what we need to hear, but not until April.
Like, share, follow.
Hey, thanks, appreciate that. I don't do enough of that on my own podcast. I really don't. Once again, this has been Michael LeBlanc with Edith Ivhay Rosenblat. And if you miss the next episode of the podcast, still, it's your loss. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.